Hello, I'm Dr. Grier, Director at Bright Futures Chiropractic, and my story starts when I'm 17 years old. I'm driving to school the day before I'm going to start my first varsity baseball game. It's a beautiful morning, beautiful spring morning in Iowa. And as I'm driving along in my 1985 Honda Prelude, all of a sudden a woman in a Ford Taurus blows through a stop sign and her license plate hits my car and me right in my hip at full speed. My car gets crushed, pushed up onto the yard of the school, the tires wrapped up underneath the body, and the whole thing. I was able to crawl myself out of the other side of the car, fortunately. But the people who showed up, of course, they're saying, oh, they've already called the EMTs, they're on their way, you gotta, get to the hospital, that sort of thing. But I was able to walk around, I was a little bruised, but no big deal. And I was going to start my first varsity baseball game the next day. That meant if I missed school on the day I got hit, then I wouldn't practice. And if I missed that practice, then I wouldn't be able to start that game. So fortunately, I was 17 and invincible, and I wasn't going anywhere but school. So I went to school that day. For all intents and purposes, I was fine. I was able to play the next day. I was able to play that junior season. I was able to play my senior season. And I played well enough to be able to play at the University of Northern Iowa. And I remember distinctly in my second year at the University of Northern Iowa, looking up from the floor of my kitchen going, this is not how this is supposed to be. I had developed this searing lower back pain that would wrap around like lightning down my leg anytime I twisted, which in baseball is when you swing, when you throw, or when you run. So I was completely shut down. That's all you do in baseball. I was completely shut down, and I had to go to my team trainers and say, hey, this is going on. What do I do about this? And they said, well, that's radiating pain. We don't really deal with that, so we're going to have to send you to the team medical doctor. They sent me to the team medical doctor, and they did their thing. They took x-rays. They made sure that there was no pathology, no fracture, no major dislocations, things like that. And when they didn't find any of those, but I was still in the severe pain, they had only one option left in their tool belt, which was pain medication. That's right. So they gave me pain medication, and fortunately, it completely took my pain away. Completely took my pain away. But what do you think those medications, those drugs did to my ability to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball? Yeah, it completely took that ability away too. So it really wasn't a solution for me. So I was back to square one, and fortunately my mom said, hey, how about you go to a chiropractor? And it was the first time, like the first time I'd heard the word. I had no idea what this profession was all about. Anyway, I went to a chiropractor. That chiropractor took x-rays, looked at the x-rays, showed me things very differently than what the medical doctor did, and identified the actual cause of what was creating this pain that I was in. Fortunately, he laid out a very detailed care plan. I was sticking with it, and early on in the care plan, about 2 weeks into the care plan, I was completely symptom-free. I was back to my full function in baseball, and that's what I loved to do at that time. So this was this first aha moment in my life where I said, whoa, there is a big difference between how I'm functioning and how I'm feeling. Now, that wasn't the exact moment that I chose to become a chiropractor. That was later on with a second, every bit as life-changing experience that I had with a chiropractor. But it does inform how I go about my practice every day, because my practice is about helping people thrive, not just get out of pain. And we're happy when that happens, don't get me wrong. We're happy when that happens, but that is a part of what happens on a person's way towards thriving and having optimal function and optimal life experience. So that's what we get to talk about today during this very brief Thrive workshop. And over the course of my career in chiropractic school, after chiropractic school, my studies and my brain is constantly asking the question, what does it take for a person to thrive? And over that time, I've come up with the Thrive formula, which is this. It's a series of blanks. It's a series of items here that we can fill in that allows a person to move themselves towards thriving. And it works every time. And we'll get into that. But first, we're going to talk about the simplicity of thriving. Because we live on this continuum between optimal health and really poor illness. And usually we're not right in the middle of it, or usually we're not right at either end of it. We're not all the way at wellness, we're not all the way at illness, but we're in the middle somewhere. So there we are, and it's the things that we do in our lifestyle, either physically, chemically, or emotionally, that moves us either away from better health or can actually push us towards it. And it's that concept that allows you at the end of the night to say, all right, which way did I move myself? Did I move myself a little bit towards better health? Did I move myself a little bit away from better health? How did I do physically, chemically, emotionally? So the things I'm doing with my body, did I exercise enough? Was I sedentary all day? Did I have any injuries? How's my posture today? Did I get enough sleep? Biochemically, what am I eating? What am I drinking? What am I exposing myself to? And are those things moving me towards illness, or are they moving me towards wellness? And emotionally, what sort of emotional states am I in? How am I reacting to the situations that I'm in? Those sorts of things are the ways that we can then start evaluating it. And over the course of time, I've actually asked the question when I present this to a live audience, well, which way do you want to move? Do you want to move towards illness? Of course not. Do you want to move towards wellness? Of course. And what I've found is that 100% of people actually want to move themselves towards wellness. But what's been the glaring statistic for me is, where do Americans end up? We end up at illness. 80% of Americans have a chronic disease as the cause of death once that time comes. And that's a shocking statistic. There are good studies out there that show that the vast majority of that can be prevented by lifestyle choices. And so then I started saying, okay, well, if what we want is wellness, but what we're getting is illness, that can't be a conscious decision. We can't be meaning to do that. So it has to be unconscious. So if it's unconscious, if our lifestyles are moving us unconsciously towards illness, what can we do then to consciously move ourselves towards wellness? And I thought, well, we need just a simple little test that we can ask that allows us to do that, to make that decision. And so it came to me at one point, well, what's the thing that we could do? And the question that I came up with, I've called the simple test. And the simple test is this: however you're going to move, however you're going to eat, however you're going to drink in any particular day, whatever it is, whatever that choice is that you're going to make, you can ask yourself the question, will this make me healthier? Will this make me healthier? And that's it. That's the question. Well, if you ask yourself that, what percent of the time do you think you'll know the answer? Most people agree when I ask this in a live group that almost all the time, 90+% of the time, you're gonna know that answer. So if you can get yourself into that habit of asking, will this make me healthier? And your goal is really to move yourself and your family towards better wellness, then you'll start making those choices appropriately. Now, this isn't like I'm an abolitionist, like, okay, now you can't do anything that's going to move you in that direction. You should never ever do those things. But I do like people to employ the 80-20 rule or the 90-10 rule to this, which means out of 10 decisions that you make, if you make 8 or 9 of them that are moving yourself in the direction that you're looking to go, then you don't have to worry about those other couple because they're going to be overwhelmed by the momentum you've created towards better health. So in the formula, we've got the initial part. We need to develop that physical, chemical, emotional piece a little bit, because those are our pillars of lifestyle. Those are the things that we do that allow us to give ourselves the things that our body needs. However, we need to keep in mind that those things are standing on a foundation, and that foundation is the system that controls and regulates everything in the body. Absolutely everything is controlled by the nervous system. And that's what we do as chiropractors. We're helping people identify where the interferences or imbalances are with their nervous system. This is how the system looks. You've got a spine, and the brain is here, the spinal cord runs through the spine, the spinal column, and the nerves that come out from here serve the body and all the organs, tissues, and cells of the body. Now, when the body is appropriately communicating with the brain, because that's its job. The body's job is to say, okay, what's going on in the environment? What's going on internally? What's going on externally? Sends that information in through these nerves, up the spinal cord and into the brain. The brain then gets to decide whether things are in balance or not. And if it's in balance, great, everything's chugging along well, all is well. If it's not in balance, then the brain knows that the body needs to do something differently. It sends those messages down the spinal cord, out the spinal nerves, and to every cell, organ, or tissue that needs something to change. It's a miraculous system. It's completely amazing. And what we know is that when we have an optimally functioning spine and nervous system, we have the opportunity for that to flow well, and we can express health, and we can live the life that we want to live. If, however, there's restriction or misalignment to these spinal bones, that creates an endangering stress to the spinal cord, to the nerve roots, and to that whole nerve system, and it doesn't allow our body and brain to communicate appropriately, and we move away from health. We move away from health. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're symptomatic. I started moving away from health when I was 17, at that moment of the car accident. I didn't actually have the symptoms of that show up till I was about 20 years old. So there was a big gap between when I had the problem start and when the symptoms actually started. So as chiropractors, that's what we're doing. We're analyzing how the spine is working, and also looking at how the nervous system functions, which in our office we have multiple pieces of technology that show us the different parts of the nervous system and how they're actually working. And with that, we can create a system that allows us to monitor how a person's core health is really functioning and move them in the direction, help them move in the direction that they're looking to go. So having a healthy functioning nervous system is the first step in the Thrive formula. When we have that healthy functioning nervous system, now it gets easier, because what we need, our job becomes, is to simply make sure that we're giving the body everything that it needs. We need to give the body everything it needs, physically, chemically, emotionally, and we need to make sure that it doesn't have the stuff it doesn't need, these toxic things, physically, chemically, and emotionally. And once we've given the body everything it needs and nothing that it doesn't, or at least have that balance well weighted towards giving it the things it needs instead of the things it doesn't, and we give it a healthy functioning nervous system, there's only one more factor standing between us and thriving, and that's time. Once we add time to that, for the body to make the changes that the body's designed to make when it's given their opportunity, we move towards thriving. And we do it every time. That's one of the interesting parts about this formula, is if you improve any one of these pieces, that's going to help a person move towards thriving. If you give the body more of what it needs, more exercise, more good nutritious food, more rest, a more positive, healthy emotional life, that sort of thing, that's going to move a person towards health immediately. If you give the body a healthier functioning nervous system with a great chiropractic adjustment when necessary, for instance, then we're going to move ourselves towards better health. And if you start taking away the things in life that are impeding, that are toxic to our body's ability to thrive, then we're going to start moving towards better health. If you do it all at the same time and you do it over time, that's when we move to thriving. All of this, however, that I've talked about is completely unimportant. Well, it's completely unimportant, at least, unless you have a good answer to this question. And the question is, why is health important to you? We like to talk about it at Bright Futures Chiropractic as this being your inspired why. Now, this changes over a person's lifetime for sure. With me, it was baseball, as I talked about before. Well, now in 2011, we had our son, William, and that's now my inspired why. I just love playing with him and being able to pick him up and being able to wrestle around with him and see all the things that he's gonna do, and hopefully be able to be there for his kids and their kids, and those are the things that allow me to swing my feet out of the bed every morning and go, all right, I'm gonna keep moving myself towards better health. I'm gonna go work out this morning. I'm gonna get my adjustment this week, that sort of stuff. That's what gets goosebumps going for me, and that's when you know you've reached your inspired why. When the thing that you love to do so much, or the person you love to be with so much, the experiences you like to have so much, when whatever it is that you think about gives you goosebumps, that's your inspired why. So I've made some pictures here for you to think about as you think about what your inspired why is. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to watch this video today. Now you have a good idea of the approach that I take to a person's health. My particular love and practice is to work with young families with kids. It's so much fun to see those kids become these vibrant, thriving, active, well-developing children, when sometimes they've had challenges to that. Or if everything's going great, to keep it going great and to try to optimize that even farther. That's the stuff we love to do at Bright Futures. If that seems like it's a good fit for you, I look forward to meeting with you. I look forward to talking with you. I always do complimentary consultations to see if this is the sort of practice, this is the sort of method of healthcare that would be a good fit for you. I really look forward to meeting you. Enjoy your day.